how boring a boyfriend I must be. I've talked for three whole sessions here and said nothing, but I can talk continuously. So I can see where people might get tired of that, I guess. Anyway, this is part four. So far, we've said nothing. This is the day after the election. They're still counting votes. We just, we still don't know. Things are fire. Things are moving very excitedly and happily. We've kind of concluded that people are going for looks rather than substance. But then we're thinking maybe we ought to have a new look at looks. Maybe looks are more important, maybe the looks are substance. Who knows? Okay, we'll find it someday. But that's an interesting thread of thought. Um, Here we have west and chrysanthemum in the north, but also west in the last position, which we said that wraps up. The whole business will be wrapped up rather satisfactorily, so the Constitution will stand because, again, they've sort of squeaked through and got an answer. Uh, Now, what does it mean when we could also call this as the last tile? When heaven is the last tile, um, heaven being 9 wan. Oh no, that might be a 7. That might be a 7. What the hell is this one? That one's looking more like a Saturn. That's a 9. So this thing could be a 7, which is the North Star, the constant. There's a page here. In case you need to know, page 52, where they have a picture of the tiles. And I frequently refer to them because these symbols are the most like what I find on my tiles anyway. But here you see there's this middle square has 1. Okay, this has 7, 8, 9. See, of wan. And then here's it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously 1, 1, 2, 3. But the point is, if you add up across, you should get 15. So 2 and 4, 2 and 4 is 6. 6 and 9 is 15. And that's how you, if you add up all three numbers, you should always get 15. Any way you add it. That's why it's called a magic square. In fact, even if you add vertically, 1, 2, this 9, 2 is 11. That should be a 4, 15. So, very interesting setup. But anyway, I also use it to identify what, because I always forget. Okay, the 7 is that, and that's a 9. The 9 looks like a Saturn. Okay, 9 is heaven. But the 7 of wan is the North Star. And they say, well, that's the most constant thing in the universe. Or, well, in our universe is the North Star, the polar star. 7 wan, 7 stars. Chess piece of the pole star with the guardian. But I like the symbolism of that. In other words, there are some things that in this day of cultural relativism and so on, there are very few things that are exact, are precise, are exactly what one thing and mean unambiguous and so on. And there's very little of that now. Everything's ambiguous. But in the north, the stars are at their maximum influence. Benignity or stern judgments are dependent on the associated tiles. Well, that's being ambiguous, depending on the associated tiles. Yeah, but what? Well, let's look at the associated tiles. I'm also counting this as the last tile. See, this is the North Star with West. What do we say about West? West is, great wealth, but it's also it's gathering in. It's the harvest, right? You're gathering it all in. You're gonna, store it in cans, or you're gonna do your canning now, and then that stuff remains. Um, with the North Star in the last position, the star on the horizon, hope, a signal, an indication of the route to take. Yeah, well, I don't know what it means. I'm getting dumber rather than smarter. That actually might be a good sign. You know, here's Jade. Jade is interesting because that's what you make of it. Jade is just a rock, right? But if you carve it and you really, chip away and polish, and you put a lot of work into this old, crummy old green rock, then you got something finally. See? So that's what jade means. It means, hard work. Uh, I had an organ salesman tell me once, he's selling electronic organs. And he said, I said, oh, I play piano. And he said, well, the piano is a disciplinary instrument. The organ is a creative instrument. And I thought about that for, about 20 years and realized, oh, this guy's an organ salesman. In other words, people don't want to practice the piano. And when you tell them disciplinary, they go, holy shit, not for me. I want to be able to sit down and, and play Over the Waves the first night. With the built-in dun 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 dun. They don't want to practice for 12 years before they can play something. So that's the difference. But jade is the practicing for 12 years. See, it's the disciplinary instrument. Now, jade in the I'm gonna associate it with the last tile. I'm gonna associate these all together because they're filling in. Unyielding authority will not accede to your request. Constant effort must be brought to bear in order to succeed. So in other words, there's the discipline is going to be what it takes, and in order to reap the harvest. And the North Star, there's no shortcuts. Okay? There's no shortcuts. I imagine that means they're going to have to count every vote. They're going to have to recount it, but there will be a solution. See, they're going to have to recount. It's going to be it won't be an easy election to decipher, but there will be a solution. Now I may have to drop this because I'm running out of power. Using up all my batteries here. So I'm going to stop here now.